I am. Does my hair look okay? Man, I always forget to fix my hair. Pixlr BG. Look at that. Right there, our new option. So we're going to go to Open Image, and you're going to find your portraits. Which one do I want to use? I want to use that one. Okay, and I'm going to click Open, and thank goodness. Look, it immediately removed the background. Now, when you try to do it, it may say, wait, there's a problem, because I'm assuming so many people are finding this so cool that it is overwhelming demand. Sometimes it takes a while, or you have to try again and again and again, but it will do it eventually. Okay, now, if you're bald like me, and unfortunately none of you are, this is probably going to do a beautiful, perfect job. But for most of you, there may be lingering artifacts, or maybe it removed your ponytail or whatever. If you need to make some changes to it, you're going to go up here to Fine Tune. You're going to click on the Fine Tune button, where a very user-friendly interface is provided for you to touch things up. When you're on Remove, that means you can get rid of artifacts that the program didn't get rid of. And if it happened to remove things that you want to bring back, you just click on Keep. And look, they conveniently make green for Go on the Keep stuff and red for Remove on the stuff you want to get rid of. So now, like I said, this did a pretty good job, but just to kind of demo how this works, you can adjust the size of your brush and the softness of the edges of that brush. And then you're just going to click and drag. Carefully, you can see it left a little fuzz on the top of my head. It left all 15 hairs that I have on the top of my head. All right, I'm clicking and dragging, and I'm letting go, and voila, look at that, it's magic. Okay, good job. Now, when you're done, you can figure out the rest of these tools. I am certain. I have great confidence. Once you get it where the background is removed, now if it doesn't remove your shoulders, that's okay. I happened to be wearing a black sweater, just like I am now. I should really change my clothes. That's embarrassing, because this was 2 days ago. If it leaves your shoulders, no big deal. If it takes them, no big deal. What we really want is your face and neck. So we're going to download this. Oh, there it is. And now we're going to go over to Pixlr E, where we're going to convert them to black and white. And we're going to tweak them a little bit. So I'm going to go to Open Image. And this one that I just did, we're going to open it. Boy, I tell you what, they made this really easy for us too. We go up to Adjust, and then Auto Black and White. Boom. There it is. Now, the discriminating photographers with distinctive taste among you may already be looking at that saying, wow, that's a really low contrast image. And you are exactly right. And that's not what we want. We want to fine tune this a little bit so we can really see good shadows and textures and details. It's all got kind of a light gray cast to it. So the best way we can easily adjust our contrast and detail is to go down to levels. Now, I'm not going to get into a big thing about how and why what the levels are. We're just going to mess with them. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is start with this left side slider. It controls the dark pixels in your photo. And we're going to slide this over. This is going to be your most important adjustment. Now, if you, like I, have an area of this thing's called the histogram. If you have an area where it's just a flat line, that actually means there are no pixels that are that color. Each one of these little lines is a measure of how many light gray, white, black, middle gray pixels you have. Each one of these little lines represents a count of how many of those you have. Here, obviously, I don't have any in this range, so we're not losing anything by getting rid of, by pulling that slider in. Now, you can already see, look at the difference here. Look at my cheek. And you can now see really nice detail on the pores, wrinkles, some little veins, little razor stubble, all those things we try to hide, but we really want to be able to see. Now I'm cranking it in a little bit further than the beginning of where we start to see pixels, and that's okay, but here's what we're really concerned about. As you darken or lighten or adjust contrast on any of your photos, the main thing you want to pay attention to is getting it as dark or as light as you possibly can without losing detail. So if I look at my shadows, like around my eye, and I crank up my darkness, you can see that I start to lose detail that was once there. Much of the rest of the face looks really good, but I don't want to go so far that I start losing detail. Now, I'm willing to sacrifice some detail, to be honest, because the rest of it looks so much better with a little more emphasis on the darker pixels. And then we can come over here to the lighter end and pull this right side slider in and see what happens. And you can see it starts to kind of overcook our image pretty quickly. And again, you're going to want to watch, like as we drug the dark slider, we want to watch the shadow areas so that we're not seeing details disappear. Same thing in the inverse here on the light end. If you look at the highlights, like there's a big glare on my head there. As I bring in my light areas, you can see pretty quickly that glare starts to grow. And we don't want to go so far that all the highlights start to get blown out. So that's pretty good. That brightens up my eyes a little bit without sacrificing too much. That got a little bigger. And then the midtones are kind of hard to predict. Generally, keeping them around in the middle is what ends up looking best. But I'm just going to go a little bit there to the right. May pull the darkness down just a little bit more. Okay, and I'm going to say apply. Let's see what it looks like before. Oh, look at that difference. This is a lovely little before and after button. This is where we started. This is where we ended up. Oh my gosh, that doesn't even look like a photo anymore. It looks like a disaster. Now that looks like a face. Look at those freckles come to life on my head. Speaking of freckles, made my head itch. I'm going to say apply. Now I am going to just, final thing here, I'm going to make you aware, those of you that are familiar with Photoshop, you know about dodging and burning. You know that you can make specific areas lighter or darker, just those target areas. You can almost like brush them lighter or darker with a paintbrush. Pixlr has that feature as well, but it's not obvious to Photoshop users. It is this little icon right here. And those will give you the dodge and burn tools, which allow you to lighten or darken specific tonal ranges referred to as shadows, midtones, or highlights. I just want you to be aware of that. If you want to play with that, you could go back in and make your eyes brighter. This is always a problem area. Our eye sockets cast pretty harsh shadows. So I'm going to go back in there later and tweak that a little bit. But just be aware. It's worth playing with. And if you mess things up, you can always go up to Edit, Undo, or Control Z to get rid of whatever you were trying to do. Bye-bye ad. Okay. I am done with that screencast. Bye.